Hello everybody, my name is Yohan, and welcome back to my channel, Yo Frags. Today I'll be talking about not a niche fragrance review that I usually try to do, but a very popular, very highly rated clone fragrance from the house of Afnan. This is the Supremacy Collector's Edition, and this is duping, or I don't want to say maybe not duping, but it is the Afnan's twist on Aventus Absolute. The packaging was honestly really nice for, a clone house, and Afnan and a lot of these Middle Eastern fragrances have pretty nice, decent packaging. Obviously, right there, that was one of my gripes when I first received this bottle. It came with the cap, like, it wasn't secure enough, so the cap just came off, so I could hear it when I was opening the box, but it's little things, like, right, it's not too crazy important, but if it were to have damaged the atomizer or anything like that, I would have been pretty upset. But I did want to give this a couple wearings for at least a week before I gave my first actual thoughts on it. That way I could truly have given it a fair shot. This is Afnan with all the ingredients, making sure it is compliant with any regulations. Afnan holographic sticker. Cool, like, little silver badge. Honestly, it really does beat a lot of these designer fragrances, and honestly sometimes even niche fragrance presentations. And considering how cheap you can get this, like, I picked this up for like $20. It was really nice. But the most important thing is the fragrance itself, and I didn't even know, but it has the main accords here. Top notes are pineapple, bergamot, apple, white floral. Middle is orange blossom, birch amber. Base is oak moss, musk, and ambergris. Now, I've been hearing so much about this. I actually started off my journey with buying Middle Eastern fragrances. That's how I got introduced. It started with Versace Eros. I got as a gift. It was like a gift set, so I got like a bag with it as well. And it was actually, I loved it. And then I was like, oh, let me turn up my fragrance game. Let me look up some videos. Let me see like what this is all about. Then I didn't know anything about discounters or like the popular, wholesale websites, stuff like that. Even the gray market, I had no reference for that. So I was just looking up fragrances, and this was how long ago now? Maybe like 3 years ago now, where especially the Middle Eastern clones were really, really gaining traction. Actually, this reminded me of a pretty OG Middle Eastern clone called Qaid al-Farsan. I forgot if that was also from Afnan, but that one was a pineapple bomb. The opening smells just like this, but this one, obviously, that's the Aventus kind of DNA, that juicy pineapple. But this definitely isn't as linear as that. That one was more just pineapple through and throughout. This one has pineapple, then you get some of that oak mossiness, that amber. It gets a little dark, but that pineapple, honestly, is still prevalent throughout the whole duration of this fragrance. And this thing is a freaking beast. Like, this lasts, and it projects, it lasts. It's when I first sprayed it, it filled up my office, and it was I don't want to say overbearing. Like, it smelled really nice in the air too, but it was just like in your face, like, whoa. This is actually my scent of the day for today too, as well, as I just go on some errands, kind of go on about. I definitely don't think this is like really good for high heat compared to like Aventus Absolute, and I don't have a full bottle of that. I did have a sample, and for the short duration that I was wearing that, it was definitely smokier. Not as linear as this one. Again, this one isn't linear, but it kind of does the same thing throughout the entire fragrance. Like, I don't get this like warm amberiness once this dries down completely. I get a lot of musks when this one dries down a lot. It's like pineapple musk with like a hint of like ambergris. So I wouldn't say this is like a warm fragrance at all. It does bring this darker side to it, but definitely not to the point where it's like I would say like a changing fragrance. It changes subtly, but the overall DNA, the overall experience wearing this, I would say, is not as um, drastic as like Aventus Absolute. But again, Aventus Absolute, oh my gosh, it's like what, five something retail, right? Something like that. And then in a lot of gray markets, depending on the bottle, depending on the size, you can get it for maybe like 290, 300, somewhere around those lines. But I think for $20, like this is definitely a keeper. Like in the air, you know, to like to a non-fragrance enthusiast, and honestly, even fragrance enthusiasts, I think their first honest reaction would be like, "Oh, is this Aventus?" Just because that signature pineappleness. It does bring out that apple, like it's like a tart apple. It's like a tart apple and a tart pineapple, and that is like forever present. Like that's especially when I get my nose into it, like around hour 12, 14. I can still smell it like in the maybe like a good foot off. Like it still projects like a nice little scent bubble. But honestly, this thing is great. The presentation's pretty cool. I like the matte speckled look, like the stone. Afnan, obviously being Afnan, is, you know, I think this is the best out of their Supremacy line. The whole thing with dupes and that whole, you know, is it right? Is it worth it? You know, et cetera, et cetera. I think, and this is kind of how I tell, you know, my friends or family who ask me about fragrances, I tell them, you know, it's really good to try a bunch of things. Just try anything and everything. And for me, my journey was kind of Middle Eastern fragrances, dupes, designer, kind of testing the water there, seeing what I liked, what notes I liked, what kind of fragrances I liked. And then with that, then going into the niche world, trying out those, testing those, getting samples, you know, and obviously quality is not 1-to-1 99% of the time, right? Still really good quality here, but if we're being honest, there's a reason why this thing retails for like $30. They're not using the most expensive ingredients to make this. Doesn't mean it doesn't smell good, but you know, if I were to compare this to like a Amouage fragrance, like one like Beach Hut Man, the quality is night and day, right? It's just a different feel. It doesn't irritate my nose. Like this can sometimes, honestly, the musks that they use, at least to my nose, is slightly can be headache inducing. Like if I overspray this, I will definitely get a headache. Like that musky, almost like ambroxany type of thing that they got going on here. It just, it's like a gagung. Like it just like clenches like your nose. If you, like if somebody were to spray this in your face, you would freeze up. Obviously, I'm not saying that that's not going to happen with every fragrance getting sprayed directly in your face and like in your nose. Of course, it's going to be jarring, but I'm just saying the quality is good, but it is not the best. Given it still smells great in the air, you know, how it's intended to be smelled, not up close. It's great. I think it's very worth your money. Yeah, I think even Amazon, obviously, you know, be careful because apparently I had no idea that they do freaking fake bottles of Middle Eastern houses now. That's insane to me. But obviously, right, you just gotta be careful who you buy from with anything. But yeah, I got this thing for $20. It was great. Like, it smells great. It's a pineapple bomb with musk, some heavier notes like amber and oak moss. Kind of tie it down so it does have a nice base where it can last longer on skin, while not being too heavy where it doesn't project. Like they do really have it down, being a projection beast and a just overall long-lasting fragrance that smells good. Yeah, that's just my initial thoughts on Supremacy Collector's Edition from Afnan. You know, only having a week with this, right? I'm sure how it matures more, especially, you know, infamously with Middle Eastern houses, how certain fragrance macerate. Maybe this will change. Maybe I'll like it more. Maybe I won't. But I'll definitely keep you guys updated. This is currently the only Middle Eastern house that I have. That's like, actually no, that's not true because I have some Mansaras, but this is the only like dupe fragrance that I currently have, to my knowledge. Right? Obviously, I'm kind of rambling. I'm sorry, but you can argue almost all fragrances are a dupe of something. They've taken inspiration from something, right? But again, I'm rambling, and I'll end it there. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a good rest of your day. Stay safe. God bless.